My sister stood on stage in her white dress, thanked a dog before me, then called me the starving artist in the attic. I paid for her spotlight, so I cut the power. Her big solo ended in the dark. My name is Gabriel. I'm 39 years old. I live in Northampton, Massachusetts, where I make stained glass panels in a quiet workshop above a used bookstore. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. That night, I stood near the back of the gallery, pressed between linen-covered tables and well-dressed patrons sipping champagne. My sister, Clara, was the reason we were all there. Her solo exhibition, Refractions, was the kind of launch you read about in art magazines. High profile, sponsored, curated within an inch of its life. She'd made it, and somehow, I'd helped her. I didn't ask to be mentioned in the speech. Not really. I'd donated the glasswork, fronted the cost of lighting, even helped coordinate some logistics. Clara had always been the face. I was just the glass guy. Still, when she stepped up to the mic in that sleek white dress and started thanking people, I held my breath. To my incredible patrons, she beamed, my wonderful fiancé, and to our tireless barista at Linden Street Cafe, who kept me caffeinated through it all. The crowd laughed politely. I waited. She went on to name the exhibit manager, the lighting tech, even someone's dog who'd inspired a canvas. I waited still. And lastly, she said, her smile taking a sharp turn, a special shout out to my brother Gabe. Every family needs a starving artist hidden in the attic. Laughter. Not polite this time. Real chuckles. A few too loud. I laughed too. Or at least, I think I did. I know my mouth moved. My hand raised slightly in a mock toast. But inside, something folded. Quietly, neatly. Like glass under pressure. Not shattered. Not yet. Just cracking. The spotlight moved on. People clapped. Clara kissed her fiancé. Someone said the wine was excellent. I stepped out of the atrium and into the corridor near the restrooms. The air was cooler there, less perfumed. I ran my fingers along the seam of my jacket pocket, tracing the tiny cuts still healing from the last glass installation. My own little tribute to the show. She'd always been that way. Charming, sharp, a little cruel when it suited her. I should have expected it. Maybe I did. When I walked back into the main space, no one noticed. The centerpiece above them gleamed in the lights I had paid for. The laughter still hung in the air. And I realized, right then, that Clara hadn't just overlooked me. She'd framed me, recast me, as the punchline. Instead, I caught the late bus back to Northampton, sitting alone near the back with my phone screen dimmed and my thoughts running loud. I should have felt something. Rage, heartbreak, betrayal. But what I felt was blank, like the inside of me had gone mute. My workshop was exactly as I'd left it, cluttered, drafty, full of glass and glue and receipts. I flipped on the light and stood in the doorway for a long time. The paper trail was still spread across my work table, the catering invoice with my card info scribbled in blue pen, the floral delivery confirmation, the 3-week lighting rental I'd rushed to reserve. Every detail, every dollar, my name on all of it. I sat down, pulled the laptop closer, and opened the vendor portal. Click. Lighting contract. Cancel. A small late fee popped up. I didn't blink. Catering deposit. Withdrawn. Floral services. Refunded. Minus delivery. One by one, I peeled back the supports, like a man yanking out foundation bricks from under a house that had never been his. The final thing I canceled was the lighting schedule. 3 more weeks of spotlighting her work, all paid for in advance by me. Now, not anymore. By morning, her exhibit would still be standing, but it would be dim, cold, silent. I didn't leave a note, didn't send a message. I just packed a bag and opened the train schedule I hadn't dared to look at in years. Florence, Italy. It was a place I used to daydream about while soldering edges. The way light filtered through Duomo windows. The way artisans still existed there. Respected, not pitted. I never went, of course. Never had the time, or the money, or the nerve. Mostly I had guilt and family, and a workshop that always came first. But that night, in the flickering light of my laptop screen, I bought a ticket. One way, train to New York, flight to Florence. Departure, tomorrow. I left my key on the workbench and turned off the lights. No goodbyes, no explanations, just quiet footsteps down the stairs and a silence that, for once, felt like mine. By the time my train reached Milan, I had over 70 unread messages. I was sitting at a cafe near the station, stirring espresso I didn't even want, trying to shake off the fog of travel and sleep deprivation. Italy looked exactly like I imagined. Sun-washed stone, hurried conversation, warm breezes that didn't ask anything of me. It was beautiful, almost offensively so. My phone buzzed again, and again. The screen lit up with familiar names, each one heavier than the last. Clara, 5 missed calls. Mom, 3 voicemails. Dad, texted call me now. Derek, Clara's fiancé, what the hell, man? Guests showed up tonight, and the whole place was dark. Flowers dead. No food. You trying to tank her career? I scrolled through slowly, watching the pile grow. I didn't respond. Not yet. Then Clara finally texted. Clara, where are you? Why are the gallery lights off? I'm standing in the atrium, and nothing's working. This is your fault, isn't it? Her follow-up came 2 minutes later. Clara, oh my God, you canceled everything. Are you kidding me, Gabe? Are you actually trying to ruin me? I placed my phone face down and looked out at the cobbled street. Kids ran past with gelato. A woman argued with a waiter about wine. Someone played violin near the church steps. The world went on. Without me. Without them. Eventually, I flipped the phone back over and typed a reply. Just one sentence. Me, starving artists don't fund luxury illusions. Delivered. Read. No reply. An hour passed before Mom finally broke through the dam with a phone call I stupidly answered. Gabriel, she sighed, already tired. What is going on? I went to Italy, I said. There was a pause. You what? Florence. I left after the opening. And you just left her? After all she's done. I blinked. After all she's done? You always wear those paint-stained shirts, Gabe, she said. You make people uncomfortable. You're not exactly gallery material. What did you expect? That she'd put you on a pedestal? That did it. You know I built that centerpiece by hand, right? I said, my voice lower now. That I paid for her opening night? That the wine, the lights, the music, all of it came out of my pocket. Silence. I continued. She made me a joke. In front of strangers. In front of you. Mom sighed, long and exasperated. You're too sensitive. You always have been. There it was. Not defense. Not denial. Just that same tired framing. Me as the problem. The overreactor. The awkward one who didn't get it. Never did. I hung up without saying goodbye. The next few days, it kept going. Her fiancé again, furious this time. Derek, we had critics scheduled, reviewers, sponsors. Now they're canceling. You better fix this. Dad, voicemail, this is family business. You don't just walk away. You fix it. Mom, text we didn't raise you to be so spiteful. I started turning my phone off. I didn't need it. The city was enough. Espresso and architecture and old churches that made the heart go quiet. It wasn't peace yet, but it was distance. And distance was a start. I flew back 3 weeks later, slipping into Boston on a red-eye no one knew I was on. Florence had quieted something in me, or maybe clarified it. The silence there wasn't heavy, it was earned. My days were simple. Wake, walk, sketch, eat. No one asking for anything. No one reminding me what I wasn't. Back home, the noise returned the moment I turned my phone on. 17 voicemails. Clara's name near the top. Derek's again. My mother's texts alternating between guilt and outrage. But I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I printed everything. Lighting rentals, catering orders, florals, custom framing, sound system, security, every receipt that had my name on it. I laid them out like stained glass pieces across my kitchen table, fitting the puzzle together until it told the full story. Over $9,000. I highlighted every line. Then I walked into Clara's studio. It was quieter than I expected. Just her, perched at a long table under skylights, pretending to work on a canvas that already looked finished. She didn't look up when I walked in, probably hoping I'd just vanish like I always did. I placed the folder on the corner of her table. She glanced down. What's this? Her voice had that same brittle edge I remembered from childhood, the one she used when she was caught, but still thought she could win. Receipts, I said. For what? For everything you didn't thank me for. That got her. She stopped moving. Her fingers twitched once near the edge of her brush, then relaxed. She flipped the folder open, eyes scanning the pages quickly, like she was hunting for some error she could seize on. This is petty, she said finally, still not looking at me. Is this supposed to be your revenge arc? I didn't answer that. You canceled my show, she added, voice rising now. You know how long I worked for this? I lost 3 sponsors. Do you even care what you cost me? I shrugged. You said I was the attic artist. Guess I climbed out. She scoffed. God, you're such a martyr. You think this makes you look noble? No, I said, already heading toward the door. Just honest. She didn't stop me. That night, I found an envelope in my mailbox. Cream-colored. Her lawyer's letterhead. I opened it at the kitchen counter while reheating leftover pasta. Demand for reimbursement. That's how it began. They were seeking compensation for emergency restoration costs and reputational damage. I laughed. Not loud. Just a dry, tired sound that barely made it out of my throat. Even now, she thought I owed her something. I folded the letter and set it aside. I didn't feel hurt. I felt confirmed. This wasn't a relationship. It was a transaction. And the credit line had finally closed. I knew it wasn't a dinner. Not really. Not when Mom's message had the phrase, let's just talk like a family. And Dad followed up with, everyone will be there. No drama. That was code. Always had been. Family code for you're going to get cornered, and you're going to keep quiet. Still, I showed up. I wore my cleanest clothes. Not dressy, but not attic artist either. Just a gray sweater and dark jeans. Clara liked to say I dressed like someone halfway through a breakup. Maybe that was true. Maybe it wasn't a breakup with a person. Maybe it was with an entire framework. They were all there when I arrived. Mom, already setting the table. Dad, stiff and unreadable. Clara, arms crossed, fake smile ready. Derek didn't come. I figured that was smart. Glad you made it, Mom said, too brightly. I just nodded and placed my backpack on the floor beside my chair. Dinner was awkward. Chicken and roasted vegetables, overcooked. Everyone chewed too slowly, waiting for someone else to make the first move. Clara cracked first. So, are you proud of yourself? She said, spearing a carrot. You sabotaged my career and then flew off to Italy like some tortured genius. Dad cleared his throat, like maybe he'd object, but he didn't. I paid for your career, I said, calm. You just didn't like the invoice. You embarrassed us, she shot back. You embarrassed me. The gallery board said they'd never seen anything like it. Good, I said. Maybe they'll remember the artist next time. And then I pulled out the folder. Not receipts this time, a USB drive, a handful of printed screenshots, a few photos, and one short video. I set it on the table like a centerpiece. What's this? Dad asked. Documentation, I said. In case you're still confused about what's actually been happening. I clicked the remote in my hand. My laptop screen lit up. First, an email from Clara, sent weeks before the exhibit. Subject, need you to front costs again. Obviously, you'll be invisible, but that's your thing, right? Next, a spreadsheet of expenses in my name. Then, a recorded voicemail. Clara's voice, unmistakable. He's like a convenient donor with no taste. I let him build stuff because it keeps him quiet. The last thing was a short video clip, a candid moment at the gallery opening. Clara clinking glasses with a critic, saying with a smirk, I told him he could have a corner to hide in. He likes feeling useful. When it ended, the room was silent. Dad looked stunned. Mom's face had gone pale. Even Clara didn't say anything at first. She just reached for her water glass and knocked it over. I was joking, she said finally, voice small. That was out of context. Dad cleared his throat again, but this time, he spoke. Gabriel, you've made your point, but don't you think this has gone far enough? I turned to him, heart thudding but voice steady. I've been the bigger person my entire life. I've been quiet, helpful, invisible, forgiving. I've been the one who lets things slide, who picks up the bill, who swallows the insult, who smiles through the toast. I leaned forward, but I'm done carrying that weight. You can hold it yourselves now. I stood up. No one stopped me, not even Clara. I didn't slam the door when I left. I didn't have to. The silence behind me was louder than anything I could have said. I didn't expect it to go viral. Honestly, I didn't even post it. It started with a clip, the final few seconds of that dinner slideshow, recorded on someone's phone. Just me, standing over the table, voice steady as I said, I was always enough. You just didn't want to see it. It ended up on a small artist forum first, then Instagram, then TikTok, then everywhere. I woke up in a Tuscan Airbnb to hundreds of notifications. This hit me so hard. I'm the Gabe in my family. Shared this with my brother. He finally got it. My inbox overflowed. Journalists, influencers, a few fellow glass artists I hadn't heard from in years. One guy offered me a podcast interview. A woman in Vermont wanted to know if I'd design a piece for her barn window. People called it a mic drop, a masterclass in boundaries, a soft rebellion. Clara didn't respond directly, but I saw the ripple. The gallery removed her exhibit early. Sponsors pulled out. One of them issued a public statement about reevaluating our partnerships with creators who failed to credit collaborative contributors. I didn't feel triumphant, just still. It was the first time in my life I'd said something with no follow-up, no cleanup, no call afterward to make sure everyone was okay. I wasn't okay. That was the whole point. Meanwhile, Florence moved at its own pace. Tourists floated by with gelato and loud maps. Church bells rang with no urgency. I spent my mornings sketching at a cafe on the corner, where the espresso tasted burnt and perfect. No one here knew my sister. No one cared about the gallery, or the headline, or the punchline. The silence was different now. Not the kind I'd grown up with, that brittle hush where feelings went to die. This silence had space in it, like a window cracked just enough to let air in. I sat in it, let it wrap around me. For the first time in years, I wasn't apologizing for existing. I didn't need anyone to see me. I saw myself. It came in quietly, like most important things do. A message. No subject line. Just a name I hadn't seen in years. Marina. The text was short. Saw the clip. Didn't expect to feel what I felt. I'm in Florence. Coffee. I stared at the screen for a long time, thumb hovering over the reply button. Marina. My Marina. Once, was a sculptor I'd loved in the soft, quiet way people love before they really understand themselves. We met when I was 28 and full of compromises. She left 5 years later, not in anger but in exhaustion. You give everyone everything, she'd said as she packed her books. But there's nothing left for yourself. She wasn't wrong. I replied, sure, tomorrow. We met at a cafe off Via dei Neri, the kind of place where the chairs don't match and the espresso comes in chipped cups. She was already there when I arrived, sitting outside, hair longer now, eyes the same. When she stood to hug me, I felt something shift. Not sparks, not longing, just a kind of recognition, like I'd finally caught up to where she'd been all along. "You look good," she said, sipping her coffee. "I sleep now," I joked. She laughed, really laughed. "You never used to." We didn't talk about Clara, or the gallery, or the firestorm my name was apparently attached to now. We talked about Florence, about how the city held space for messy people, about marble dust and aging hands, and how you don't realize how much noise you lived in until it's finally quiet. "You always had fire in you," she said, "but you hid it under guilt." I looked at her for a second. Maybe I thought it wasn't mine to own. "It was," she said gently. "It still is. We didn't make promises. No whispered maybes or open-ended futures. We just finished our coffee and kept walking, side by side, through narrow streets and sunlit alleys, past artisan shops and old stone bridges. We didn't hold hands. We didn't need to. We ended up by the Arno as the light started to shift, golden and slow. "I never hated your family," she said, her voice softer now. "I just hated what they made you believe about yourself." I nodded. "Me too." We stood there for a while, not saying much, not needing to. It wasn't a new beginning. It wasn't closure either. It was something better. It was presence. I'd barely been home a day when I bought the whiteboard. Just a small one. $30, office supply store. The kind meant for brainstorming or chore charts. I carried it upstairs to the workshop like it was something sacred. It hung perfectly over my desk, right where the window light hit in the morning. At the top, I wrote 3 words in thick black marker: "What I owe." Beneath that, I drew 2 columns: "Loved me, used me." And then I started listing names. Clara was easy. Her name slid under "used me" with no hesitation. Derek joined her. So did my mother, my father, a few patrons I used to bend over backwards for. A gallery owner who once called my work sweet but unsellable. He made the list too. Then I hesitated. A few names took longer. Old friends who disappeared when I stopped being convenient. An art professor who saw talent in me but only if it fit in his syllabus. The loved me column was smaller, but cleaner. Marina, my old mentor from the Glass Collective in Brattleboro. A neighbor who once brought me soup during a power outage. A high school teacher who told me you don't have to shine loud to shine at all. Then I wrote one last name at the bottom. Gabriel. I stared at it. Then I added a checkmark under "loved me." I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. I just stood there, feeling something settle in my chest, like a beam locking into place after years of creaking. Maybe I didn't need anyone to rewrite the story. Maybe I just needed to hold the pen. The email came on a Sunday afternoon, buried between spam and a glass supplier's newsletter. Subject line: "We're family." I almost deleted it without opening, but curiosity, that stubborn old habit, won out. It was short. "Gabriel, we're family." You don't just walk away from that. You don't get to make some dramatic exit and pretend that absolves you. You're still my brother, and you're still part of this family, whether you like it or not. Clara. No apology, no acknowledgement, just ownership, dressed as sentiment. I sat there a moment, staring at it. Then I clicked reply and typed slowly, carefully, every word measured like lead work. "Clara." I didn't walk away. I was pushed. I just decided not to crawl back. "Gabe." Then I hit send. No edits. No hesitation. I didn't wait to see if she read it. I just closed the tab. Then I opened another. A commission inquiry had come in the night before from a small church outside Siena. They wanted a window restored, something modest and centuries old. The pastor said he saw my name on an art site and liked that I worked quietly, without ego. He offered little money but plenty of time. I wrote back that I'd do it. Afterward, I made tea, sat by the window, watched the sun roll over the roof lines across the street. I didn't think about Clara, or my parents, or the gallery that used to feel like a fortress. I thought about the first time I cut glass, really cut it. Not for anyone else, not for show. Just me, in a cold garage with a pane of discarded cobalt and a cutter that stuck. I thought about the light that poured through that cracked, jagged edge. Ugly, perfect. This was mine now. All of it. The silence, the space, the tools, the fire. And for the first time in my life, that was enough.